All right, so let's complete our tutorials on R packages with respect to the dplyr package. I greet you wherever you are, and please do me a favor by subscribing to this channel. By doing so, you are helping me a lot. And so let's go ahead. We are currently working on packages in R. There are quite a number of them. We want to try our best to see how we can make sure that, or we can throw more light on how some of these packages are being used. We started with the dplyr package. So let me pull up. So we started with the dplyr package. We've looked at dplyr package data transformation in two ways already: data transformation row-wise and data transformation column-wise. You can check. I have two videos on that. And then this one, we are going to combine the row functions and then the column functions which are used to transform data row-wise and that of the column-wise. And then we put that together into what is called the pipe combination or the multiple verbs. So stick and stay in the next 15 minutes. All right, so this is the data we are going to be using. That's what we have been using. But to make it quite clearer, I decided to also simulate my own data, which is also, I call it cookies, which is here. And I give credit to one YouTube, another guy who had auto simulated a data of this similar fashion on Excel. So I looked at it and I simulated it accordingly. So credit to him. I've forgotten of his name. I would have given him the due credit. Now, today we are going to want to, let's assume that we want to find out the fastest flight to Houston Airport in US, right? And so Houston Airport comes under a variable called destination. So first of all, we need to filter the Houston Airport as a destination, only that out. And then we can begin to check all the flights that come to that place and which of them come there faster. You see? So we can calculate the speed and then we arrange it and then we know which of them, whether they come there quite fast. So what do? We go into the database or the data set called flights. So when we go there, we pipe into the filter function and then we select the variable called destination. And then we check within the destination variable, there is an object, or there's an object there called IAH, which stands for the Houston Airport. You see, Houston, I think International Airport, I think so. All right. So when we pipe that, so we have piped we as filtering that particular airport alone. And after we have filtered, what do? We pipe the results into a new function called mutate. Mutate function is used to create new variables. And so what variable are we creating? We are creating a new variable called speed. And that speed is equal to the distance that the distance travel, which is also actually a variable. Distance is actually a variable. What is it here? It's not listed here. And so and then divided by the air time. Air time is given, which is here. The distance traveled divided by the air time, then multiply by 60. So we want to have it in minutes. And then that is it. So after we've created this particular new variable. That is the variable we are going to use to be able to determine which particular flight gets to Houston Airport as fast as possible. So we now pipe out that particular result again into a new function called select. And so we are selecting from year all the way to day. When you see year to day, column to day, it means that we are saying that from column year all the way to the column day, all the columns in the middle included. It will select that. And then we are also including the departure time. We are looking at the carrier. That's the equipment, its name, the type of plane. And then we are looking at the flight number. So maybe it is flight this and this. And we are looking at, and then we need to include the new variable that we have. All right. So when we do that, it means whatever calculation that we have done here, it will affect the whole of these variables. So when I pick the speed, then it will affect all these variables. So now let's assume that I just want to run up to this particular point without using the. So you notice that when I do this and I pull up, so you can see that it will affect from year, month, day, and whatsoever. And then we come, this is the speed here. But at the moment, we have to go through all this speed to know which of the airlines have the highest speed. And so in that case, to make that easier, then we also pipe out the whole resource into a new resource called, or into a new function that we call arrange. And how are we arranging it? We are arranging in descending order based on what? Based on speed. Based on speed. The speed is now going to be our new variable. And so we run that and then see that we have now arranged in descending order. So we can see that descending order means from highest to lowest. So we have, this is the highest speed that the calculation that we have given. And this particular speed correspond to this flight number, this equipment name, and then on this departure time, and then on this particular day, this month, and then this year. This was the reason why we decided to use the select function to select all this so that we'll be able to, so that whatever that we are doing, the speed can affect all of them. And that's what all that we have done here. And so this is one of the ways that we can combine. Filter is used to transform data row-wise. Mutate is used to transform data column-wise. Select is used to transform data column-wise. You select only the columns. But see that now we are combining all of them. And then this is what I was trying to explain. Now, I have a data set. I've already run this line. Don't need to run that again. And so what I'm simply going to do, I also want to find out. Let's say I have a restaurant of maybe some food, and then I want to find out, I want to select one of the places. So like, let's say different towns. I have different restaurants in different towns, okay? And so I want to select one of the towns and look at how the profit is working over there. So I'm piping from it into the filter function, a town, and any town that is related to Najo number 2, select that. And then when I do that, so if I run the data all the way up to this place, it's going to select only Najo number 2. But because I've not indicated, it will select only Najo number 2. As you can see in the town column, it selects only Najo number 2. You won't see any other town. It's only Najo number 2 across board. Now, after I've selected Najo number 2, then I pipe into the mutate function. It means I'm creating a new variable. What variable is that? I'm calling interest. And I'm saying that revenue divided by the cost, or let me just leave it this way, revenue divided by cost. So I want to check the revenue per cost, revenue per cost. And so maybe as we change this variable name here and call it maybe revenue per cost. So the revenue per cost, this is how, and then we want to look at of each particular revenue that we have obtained in Najo number 2, what was the cost over there? You see, that's what we are doing. And so if I run this, if I filter, if I pick only up to this point and I run it, so it's going to create a new variable called revenue per cost, as you can see here. So if I pick in Najo number 2 and I pick this particular food called, let's say, kuli kuli, and then I can come and look at the revenue per costs. So with the revenue per cost, per unit cost, it means that every unit cost that we incurred, we had a revenue of 2.5. Okay, every unit cost, maybe every 1 CD that was spent, we had a revenue of 2.5. But that is not all. How do we want this calculation we have done to affect? Which are the variables or the column we want it to affect? Okay, so we pipe the whole results into a new function called select. And what are we selecting? We are selecting town, food, what's it, revenue, then, of course, then profit. I think, yeah, that's basically all. And then we go ahead and then make sure that, okay, I'm going to change this variable. And then it's going to be revenue per costs, which is here. And then we run the entire thing. So what we're going to do, when we do that, if there's an error here, I just intentionally want this error to occur for me to explain something. Now, when you filter, if you are doing this analysis using dplyr, now, whatever that you are going to arrange, the variable you are going to arrange, Remember, we started from this filter. So the next line of code, mutate, is working based on the first one that we have done. That's it. So it will not calculate the revenue per cost in any other place besides module number 2. Now, the third line is working based on the second line. So whatever that we have in the second line is what this particular line is what it is based on. Now the fourth line is working based on the third line. So now when we come here, you notice that I want to arrange the revenue per costs, but the revenue per cost was not among the third line. So that is why R goes into the third line and it doesn't find revenue per cost. So it cannot work. And that's where this error is coming from. So what do? I'll simply come here and then I'll put the revenue per costs like this. And now when I run it, it will run properly. So this is, I wanted to make this point so that those who are following can understand how the dplyr package works. So now we've selected the town, the food, the revenue, the profit, and then the revenue per cost. So we can now say from module number 2, we can come all the way and then check how much revenue we made from, let's say, per 1 CD that we spent. But maybe this one we have done already is good, but we can't know which particular day. We've arranged the revenue per cost. So the revenue was higher here, it was higher per cost, and then it started coming down all the way. Maybe it will get to a point, yeah. So, but if we wanted to know the specific dates, we could have added the date function to it. Into the select, we could have added the date function into the select, and that way, so let me come down here and then maybe I could have added something here called date. Sorry, and run that all over again so that we can know which particular date. So this way, when I come, if you come here, we can now say that in module number 2, in terms of Kose, it means Kose actually had more revenue per cost. And this happened on the 21st, on the 16th of November, 2021. And then we can check the revenue here. We can check the profit there. We do not indicate the cost variable, but this is the revenue per cost. So this is how we combine all the variables, or we combine both the functions on rows, the functions on columns to be able to make sure that we transform our data. This is also data analysis. Now, there's a long process of doing this. Instead of me using the pipe operator, I could have just started by, you just filter, first of all, you filter the flight destination and pack it into this new variable. Now we go and mutate that variable using speed, distance, whatsoever, and then also pack it into this second variable, then until we get to the last one. But this will be a little bit boring, but it's the same thing. It's the same thing like the one that we had first. So here I could have also just filter your number 2 out into a first variable, and then you continue going. So I'll just leave this. You can pause the video, look at it, and if you want this long process, you can go that. Now, there's another function that we call group by. We use group by to divide your data set into groups. Okay. For instance, I have flights, and I want to group the flight by month. Okay, by month. So let me just group the flight by month. So it will group all the flight based on months. So this is the first month. These are all the flights on the first month of 2013. And then look at how it works. Maybe if that is too hard for you to, so I could have come here and say, I have my cookies data here, and then I'm just piping it into the group by data or into the group by. And so I am grouping it by what is also is actually a function. If I'm grouping it based on the same month, so my data is month. And so I just ran that. So it will group the data based on months. And as you can see, what is it, which is here. So what about if you wanted to group the data based on days? So I needed to just change this place to days. And my data is called days. So if you do that, it will group the data based on days. And then in that order. Remember, we've not displayed everything. It can display. There's about 690 more rows down there. What is it? If you want to display or have to pack it into a new variable. So we could have also grouped it. We could have grouped it based on, let me see, what are based on food and see whether it will work. Yep, it's working. So this is for only kulikuli. And so we can look at that. Then when we go down, we can also see that for only, what is it, for kose and then for different food. Okay. So now we could also, when we use group, we can also summarize. So we group by the month and we summarize based on, now let me emphasize on this. In dplyr package, two functions create new variables. The mutate function creates a new variable, summarize function creates another a new variable, right? So check these two. Both of them create new variables. So here we are grouping our flight based on month, and we summarize it based on, our summary is going to be based on the mean departure delays. We just choose that particular variable, and we look at what is the likelihood that a flight is likely to delay, the average. So when it delays, what is the average delay time? Flight delays. Okay, so we run that, and then we can see. So we have grouped it, and so in terms of 1, 2, 3, so we see not available, not available. I think what we needed to do is to ignore or to make sure that we take out NIS, not available, or missing data. So what do? We simply, the same thing we are running here, but we simply add na.remove and we set it to true. So when we do that, the grouping will now be done. So here we can look at in the first month of the year 2013, the average delays was around 10, maybe 10 hours. And then we can look at that of February, then it was around 10.8, and then in that order. So it tells us that which particular month did we likely have so much delays? You see? So now let's say I'm going, okay, let me use my own data, and then, so here I am piping out into what's the group by function, and I'm going to group the data based on, I've already indicated, I'm grouping it based on, let's say, food. Okay, and so if I'm, and then I want to also pipe, after I've grouped it based on food, then I pipe out and then do what? And summarize. Grouping actually is always followed by summarize. It makes it, and so I am summarizing based on what? I'm creating a new variable. I am creating a new variable. So I am summarizing based on, I don't know I mean, what should I calculate? So let me create a new variable called average. Okay, let me just say average revenue. And so the average revenue will be equal to the mean. You see, is going to give me my mean, and I have my mean revenue here. But remember, because we don't want to have that same problem, we can say na.remove. It's already there, and we set that to true. Well, when we do that, now what have we done here? We have decided to group our cookies data based on food. So it will group only kose on one side, and then when it group that, is going to give us the mean revenue, the average revenue based on the kose that it has grouped. You know, we have kose in Najo number 2, we have kose in Yendi, kose in other place. That's what is going to happen. So we pull this out and look at how it works. So honey, it tells us the average revenue of honey. Then that of kose is also here, that of kulikuli is there, and then that of pito, TZ, and whatsoever. It has somehow summarized the data for us. So when we take TZ, for instance, across board, this is the average revenue that we are making across board, and then in that order. So that's why I'm saying that apart from the fact that it's data transformation, is also is also a data analysis tool that it depends on whatever that you're analyzing for. So the useful summary is like sometimes after you've done the summarize, you may want to count. You may want to count, put some kind of count. Let me run that and I'll tell you what that means. So here we are grouping based on month. We summarize based on the average delay. And then we are removing all the missing values and we are counting. So we are creating a new variable here and we are counting called n. All right. So the new variable is called so let me put that place number. And then so we just run that. And so when we go up here, we can see on the first month, this is the average delay. And then it gives us the total count of all the delays that gave us this particular average. And that's what we are simply saying. Now, for you to understand it, I'm going to copy what I have here. That's my own data. So I can come here and then I'm just going to paste it around here. And then here, after I have, I use the na.remove. I could have just add comma here, enter. And then at this point, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. Yep. So just a minute. I think I got a little. Okay. And so I could have added a new variable called number, and then the number would have been equal to n, like this. Yep. Let me try running this and see. Great. So what we have done here is that we've decided to group our data based on food. So we picked the first one, honey, and we are looking at the average revenue of honey, and that's it. And then how many, we are looking at the individual data points that we put together to be able to get this average revenue. So we can say that we sold about 109 cups, and that's what got us this average revenue. And then here we are looking at Kose. We sold about 93 plates, and so it will count all the rules that actually was calculated to give you this average, and then the total number of data points that was calculated to give you this average is here, and then that is it. So this is also a very simple way to also look at your data, and that is it. Now, there are other functions like the slice functions. So we can say, this is my data frame. I am piping into slice underscore head, and then n is equals to 1. When I do this, it means I am simply saying that it takes the first row from each group. The first row from each group. So this is my data frame. Let's say, okay, let me come here and then, okay, I think I have an example. But what I meant initially was this. So this is flight. I pipe into group by, I'm grouping it based on destination. And I pipe it into slice underscore maximum. The slice underscore maximum to take the row with the largest value of column. And that is it. So, and then I'll pipe it into, and then I'll relocate destination to where. If I don't specify where, it will be the first variable, what I'm very sure. So now let's roll this up a bit, and you see destination now comes first. And so it's going to go into this particular first one, that's the first row. Then it will pick only the maximum, value. Now let me come here and look at the code. So we are grouping the data based on destinations. So to select all the destinations, all right, and then we are slicing the data based on, we are slicing it on maximum, the maximum arrival delays. So we are looking at arrival delays, so maximum arrival delay. So it will select, it will go into all the destinations, look for all the arrivals, and the delay that was, having the highest delay, was maximum. Like the arrival was too delayed, you know, and then we set n is equals to 1. So we are looking at the first row. If we set it to 2, we are looking at the first 2. And then we relocate that particular variable called destination to the first column or to the first variable. So that's what the relocate function does. If I transform this to my own data, maybe it will make it easier for everybody to understand. All right. So we can also say grouping by multiples. So we have daily. For instance, I have daily here. Then my fly, then I pipe into the group by. So I'm grouping it based on year, month, day, and then so if I run that and I run daily, then you will see it's going to group based on this is multiple groupings. Okay, and then but it takes one of them as the reference variable, and then the rest will follow suit. Run that, you would, if I pull this up, then you will see how it works. So these are the various ways. We can also have the dailies, and then we pipe out into summarize, and then we count. And then when we do this, we simply, the same count that I was talking about. Okay. Then we can also do ungrouping. So those that we have already grouped, we can decide to ungroup them by just using the ungroup function. And then we keep whatever that the group name that we had here. If we don't have, we just use the ungroup function, and then we can simply ungroup the data. And then we also have the daily that we had grouped already, we can ungroup it, and then in that order. Now we can replace a group by with dot by. For instance, for flies, I am summarizing. And then I've already mentioned that summarize create a new variable. And so if I have, I've summarized and I'm creating a new variable called delay. And so delay is equal to mean departure delay, and we remove any missing value. And so we are using this one to count, to create another new variable that is going to count the delays. And then we are saying that dot by month. The by has replaced the group by, and that is it. So it means all what we are going to do here will be based on monthly. It will be monthly. And so that's what we have done here. And then we can see. So the month variable is here. So the first month, and then you see that it's the same thing like the first one that we did, group by month. So if you don't want to say the group by, you can start with the summarize, but you end by dot by, and then we select the variable that we want it to be grouped by, and then we are good to go. It's the same thing here. We could have also grouped by different, we can group by, then you use the vector or the combine function, concatenate function, to select all the column we want it to be grouped by. After I've done the summarize, then we can say we want to be grouped by origin and then destination. And that way, then we are good to go. Here, so what I'm simply saying is, let's say I was having my cookies data here, and then I'm simply going to pipe out into the summarize function. There's a difference. The summarize with the Z is what we are using. That's a function. So if we summarize, we come here and then we create a new variable. What variable are we creating? We are going to create a variable called, I do not have so much of the integer variables. So let me say, okay, I want to look at cost and profit. So I want to look at cost per profit this time around. So I'm going to say my variable will be costs per profit. Cost per profit. Okay, I think what is it is okay. And then my cost per profit, how am I going to do with that? I'm simply going to say, because it's a new variable, I will have to, arrange how I want the variable to interact. So the cost per profit is actually going to be costs, and then that will be divided by profit. All right. And so then I'm just going to put comma there, and then I will enter and have my number, and then I'm going to have this, so that it will create a new, and then I have this, and then I will simply just say dots by, and the dot by, if I want to select one variable, I'll just mention the variable name. If there are more than one, I have to use C, and then here I want it to be based on town. I already have town, and then food, and then I have my food over there. So when I do that, I run it. Warning, they have given me some warning sign, but it's okay. So now you see that it groups my data for me in terms of, and then it counts them alongside. So as you can see, so I have town, food, cost per profit, and then the number. And so I've already explained what this means. So we can see the number here. So because we are using group, so it will group Nigeria number 2 quickly, and then cost per profit, and then in that order. Yep. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the way we run the dplyr package in R. What is it? You need to know the functions which are used in terms of transforming your data row-wise or analyzing your data row-wise. The functions which are used in making sure that you transform your data or analyze it column-wise, and then the function, and then how to combine them. So I have the separate video for the row-wise, then separate video for the column-wise, and then this is the final video for the two of them, where you combine them, which we call the pipe or the combine. So I can now use the filter, the select, the mutate, the group by, the slice, and whatsoever. And then there are a lot more that you can learn, but these are just a way to introduce you to it. Thank you. If you love what I do, why don't you subscribe to my YouTube channel? And by doing that all the time, you are supporting me. Thank you. My name is Biba Bright, and I will see you with another interesting video or on a different package in R. Bye-bye.